Okay, hi all. Good evening. So Naveen has asked question like like what kind of questions are asked from SQL perspective in data engineering related job profile. So at a very high level, I will explain that. So if you're going for data engineering job profile, like the main task of data engineers to create pipelines. Pipelines are nothing but the transformation logic or the business logics you have to implement. I agree that apart from that, you have many other tasks like data cleaning activities, okay, and all those things are there. But after all those things, the main task of any data engineer is to create pipelines or the transformation logic, the business logics, and all those things. Now, for that, first of all, you have to be very strong in joins. Okay, window function is also important, but not much. If you will ask me that data engineer and data analyst, which one is more important? So for data engineers, joins are more important. For data analysts, window functions are more important. Okay, so you have to be very strong in joins. You should know first of all like how join works. If you're using two tables, if you're using three tables, four tables, five tables, then how it works. Means hope you remember like how I have taught that the two tables and three tables, how it proceeds. First, the output of two tables will be executed, and that output will be joined with that output with the third table, right? So in that way, you should be very clear with the joins, how two, three, four, five tables are joined, and what if you are giving the filter in on clause, the where clause, the left join, right join, cross join, self join, and all those things. So when you are listening to the lecture, to a certain extent, it will appear that these joins are simple. But that's why I recommend. I used to tell in each and every batch that you have to work on assignments. Then only you will get to know that where to implement which concept, like where the joins, where the correct join you have to use. What are the challenges you will be facing? Because again, you'll be playing with millions of records. Okay, so Naveen, net you have to be strong in joins first of all, and apart from that, set operators are also very important. Your minus, your intersect, union all, these are also very important. And then CT expressions and subquery. You should know where to use CT, where to use subquery. I know that subqueries are not good from performance, but many times you have to use subquery as well. So you should know that balance. Many times when I review the code, I have seen that the developers they will prefer writing always subqueries because if you're not comfortable in CT, so you will find your comfort zone and you will write the queries using subqueries always. Okay. So net you should know. Suppose a car mechanic, he knows the importance of a small screw and a big screw, right? And they both have their own significance, right? Similarly, you should know where which keyword you have to use. Okay, they all have their own pros and cons, like minus not in. At a high level, it seems that they both are used to find the data which is present in one table but not in other. But they both have their own pros and cons. You should know that, and not only theory, but you should be able to understand it once you work on the assignments. Okay. So at a high level, this is the thing, Naveen.
Thank you,
But
sir.
I will share the interview set of questions, 30, 40 questions. Okay. I have that list. I will share it. Okay. So I think most of you have joined today. So today we are planning for data engineering job profile, and we don't have any specific agenda. Why? Because we know, like last to last week, like I started with ETL testing job profile, and then we started discussing about the interview preparation. So that happens because all these things are related. And like why I started this session, because when I interact with, especially with the freshers and the non-IT background students, so I have realized that a lot of misconceptions are there, lot of misconceptions. So many of the misconceptions I have discussed in the last session. Okay, and still a lot of other misconceptions are there. But a few of you have requested me to take a session on data engineering. So today I have invited Karthik. So he is one of my students from the previous batch, and he has a very strong hold on data engineering subject. Okay, so I have requested him to give a overview of the data engineering from interview perspective, from resume building, and what all what is expected from the recruiter. Okay, so he will guide you with all those things. And meanwhile, if needed, I will pitch in between. Okay. So Karthik, over to you. You can please start. And if
Yeah.
you participants, you are free. You can ask question, make the session interactive, ask any kind of questions. Okay, take benefit of it. Yeah, Karthik, over to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Tanvir, for inviting me. And guys, agenda was very simple. First, I will start with a resume. Like, we'll try to understand how the data engineering resume should be first of all, and then we'll try to understand what are the things being asked in interview in terms of data engineering. If you want to get into data engineering, what you should go through. So we'll try to discuss everything. First, we'll try to understand, like we'll go through the resume. So just give me 1 minute. Just I'm sharing the screen. Uh, Tanvir, can you give me an access for sharing the thing?
Yeah, sure, Karthik.
Yeah.
Can you try now?
Yeah, it's allowing. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. I think everyone is able to see my screen, right, guys? So, guys, let's consider. Very first thing. We'll go one by one in a resume. You should never keep any profile pic here. That's the very first thing. You should never keep any profile pic. And second thing is like just after your name, simple, just keep your name. And down that, like let's consider there are some generic roles when you are working in certain companies. Let's consider there is some when you are working in some, let's consider previously where I used to work, that my generic role was like programmer analyst. Everyone whoever joined there was a program analysis is the role. But now you are looking for big data developer role, right? So now you have to keep it. Now here you have to keep it as big data developer because you are looking specifically for big data developer. But that is one thing. And next guys, here I said that you should never keep a profile pic. And after that, here many people what they do is like they will try to keep and beside email they will try to keep email icon. Beside phone number they will try to keep phone icon. Beside address they will try to keep address icon. And after here over this LinkedIn also they will try to keep LinkedIn icon. See, these things you should not keep. You should not keep these things. Why? Actually, I will tell you reason. See, in some of the companies there is a ATS system, which is nothing but like their system. There is some kind of software which actually shortlist this profile, they shortlist this resumes. In that context, if someone is manually handling your resume, that's fine. But if someone is using that ATS kind of systems, what actually happens? If that profile pic, that image, and these icons, let's consider email icon, phone icon, address icon, and LinkedIn icon. If it comes out, if it finds that, if it finds like such images and icons, your profile will directly get into rejected mode. It will not pick your resume. So that you should keep in mind. And after that, that is done. And now just just try to give a short introduction about you. Like you are a result oriented data engineer, like that, and just give your experience and just try to mention that you are having some extensive expertise in some big data tech stack. So you just try to give a short introduction here. That's done. Just will come down. Now, guys, let's consider you are working in an organization as a big data developer. Let's consider. Now, when you are working in an organization as a big data developer, what actually happens? You definitely you will be doing you will be building data pipelines. You will be building lot of things, right? So under work experience, what you will do? You might be working in one project, right? Consider that is you are working in some project. Consider you are working in customer analytics project. Let's consider for a while. So now just give your role name. What actually, if it is generic also, just provide that role name and just give some company, some whatever the company you are. Just give your time frame. Under roles and responsibilities, guys, here when you are working in when you are building some data pipeline, you might be using a lot of technologies. You might be using Scoop, you might be using Hive, you might be using Spark, you might be using multiple technologies. In that multiple technologies also, if you go into the deep, you might be using some optimization techniques due to which you have made your data pipeline perform. You may have increased your data performance by pipelines. You have increased it to some 30%, 40%. Let's consider if your job is running very slow, you might have applied some optimization techniques. And by applying that optimization techniques, the pipeline, the job or the pipeline which is running something around 2 minutes, which is giving you output after 2 minutes. Now you applied some optimization techniques and now you made it to 30 seconds. Let's consider you have gained almost something about some percentage of gain you have gained here, right? So that things you try to put here. So whatever the things you have done, so under roles and responsibilities, what you do is like you try to mention everything technically only. Everything, most whatever you do, you try to mention it over technically only. Like you might have used Spark, you might use Hive, you might have used Scoop, and you might have used multiple optimization techniques as well. So whatever the whatever the performance gain you have gained when you applied some optimization techniques, and whatever you have done, just try to mention it over here in a technical way, only technical way, not no only technical way. And here I said that you are like I said that you have worked on some project. Consider I said that you for a while you consider it as customer analytics. So now same project, guys, same project. Here you have mentioned in a technical way. Here you have mentioned everything in a technical way. Next, what you have to do? You just create a project section here. You just create a project section. Under project section, you try to mention that what project here whatever you here about customer analytics project, whatever the technical things you have used, you have mentioned here. Same, you give a project headline here, and under that give a project name. And here you try to mention everything in a business way. What does that business way refers? So business perspective is nothing but when you are working in any project or when you are building some pipeline, definitely it has some outcome. It is not that it is you are doing something like just for time pass. It won't be there. So definitely when you are working on project, when you are working on some project, definitely it has some outcome, and it will definitely benefit someone. That's the reason like many people like clients will pick up our projects, and it will be the scenario, right? So in that context, when we are speaking in that context, what we have to do here? So in customer analytics, when we are in the customer analytics project, whatever we have done, what are the coding we have done, and what is outcome of it? What is the outcome of that in business way? In business way, what is the outcome of that? Just try to write in some of the points. Like consider, try to write at least 4 or 5 points. Here I am reading just one point. Previously, I used to work on this customer analytics project, so I'm just giving you a highlight. See, it helps. It helps in the sense this business, like my project. This it helps business. It helps business to discover developing trends and better predict them by combining sales data with a range of criteria. So this is what actually my project used to do. So this is what the business outcome is. So this is what you have to understood. You have to understand that here when you are preparing your resume, everything you try to mention it over like same project, mention it everything in technical way. Here, create a project sector, give a project name. Here, everything mentioned in business prospect. Or why you have to mention business way and business way and technical way? See, what I got to know is like when we are working as a developer in real time. So what actually happens when we get an issue? We should not only think in that perspective that issue should be solved. We should also think that it should not break the dependency, and we also should think in a business perspective way, in a business way. So what like if I can perform this in a again like much better way, then the client or the people who are buying this project or the people who are using this project will get a feel that this is what actually the project is. So in that context, you have to understand in a business way as well as a technical way. So when you understand the things in a business way as well as a technical way, then I can say you are a perfect developer. So this is what, and every organization requires like this kind of candidate. Every organization will look. And now when you keep this in this manner, then he can understand perfectly that you have kept whatever, like when you are writing here in a business way, then when someone reads, then he can understand that this is the outcome of our project. So here similar thing, guys. Under work experience, come here, give the role name, whether it is a generic, keep it generic, give a company name, time frame. Under roles and responsibilities, keep everything, write it in a technical way. mention it in a technical perspective. After that, same project here you have mentioned in technical perspective. Here you mention it in business way, business perspective. After that, just if you have worked in any second company, just mention that roles and responsibilities. That's it, and just keep only one project is more than enough for a, like when you are going for, even if you are having 10 years of experience, you might have worked on 10 different projects. Now the thing is like you explain everything in interview. You explain everything in an interview that I have worked on multiple projects, multiple domains I have worked. You just try to tell them, but here try to mention only one. And after that, just come under the education. Education, whatever you have done, just try to mention the education. It's done. And language, whatever you know, you just try to mention that languages. And now it comes to the skills. Skills section is very important. Now, guys, what actually many people will do is like what many people do, they will try to create one skill section and they will try to add multiple skills, multiple skills. I obey that every algorithm. Let's consider it, whether it is a LinkedIn, whether it is Naukri, it works on like keyword basis. Like if you are having a lot of keywords, your profile shortlisting probability is more that I accept. But now when you like your profile will be shortlisted for a company, that's fine. But let's consider you gone for an interview and like definitely everyone, like every interviewer first when he's interviewing you, he just open your resume and he will check that. So obviously let's consider you have created only one skill section and you have added everything, whatever the skills you have from early of your career, whatever from starting of your career, whatever the skills you have worked on or whatever the skills you know you added, let's consider. Now your profile shortlisted. Now when you go for an interview, if he asks something, which you have worked on starting of your career, let's consider. So when you have worked on some skill which you which is like when you have worked on starting of the career, then you also know that obviously we don't have that touch because currently you are not working on that skill. You might have a knowledge, but you have forgotten because like it's been a long time. So now we have to ensure that we have to keep lot of skills as well, and we have to justify as well. Now how we should do that? Simple thing. Just divide your skills section into two ways. One is primary skills, second is tools and technologies. So under primary skills, what you have to do is like currently you might be working on, like you might know some technologies, or you are working on some technologies on current company, right? So try to mention only those skills. Let's consider I used to work on Spark, SQL, Java, and Scala. So these are the like primary skills for me. But apart from that, I also know these technologies as well. I know like Oracle, I know EMR, Athena, Glue, I know, but I know like it's like I know POCs. And I worked long back. So it is that now by telling like this or by showing like this, even if someone asks, let's consider if someone is asking you specifically if he's stretching on Glue or Athena, just tell them that, sir, these are the primary skills. These are the primary skills which I work on a daily basis. But apart from that, I also know these technologies as well. Then there are two benefits for you. As you are mentioning a lot of techniques, like LinkedIn and Naukri will work on the keyword kind of things. Your profile will be shortlisted. One benefit. Second benefit, now as you are mentioning a lot of things, as you are mentioning a lot of things, your profile is getting shortlisted. And now you, because of like as you divided skill section into two, now you are able to justify as well. Because now when you, even if he doesn't understand, let's consider if he doesn't understand, even you just tell them that, sir, that is the reason I divided my skill section into two to make you understand that these are the primary skills which I work on day to day life. And apart from that, in addition to that, or apart from that, I also know these technologies. I have worked on that. But the thing is like currently I'm not working on that. Them. So if you give me some time, like I can brush up that, I can work on, because I worked it all. Like earlier of my career, I used to work on that. So I know that technology. That's the reason I have mentioned. So this makes even like this is the thing, like you can justify. Like if you keep everything under one skill section, then you are not able to justify and it will go into negative. Like I will tell you, let's consider you have mentioned everything on the skill section and The moment he's asking something regarding to something, and you are saying that no, I have used that technology in early of my career, early stage of my career, then he will ask you why you kept here. So then how will you justify? It's hard to justify even. Now, when you divide, you can justify even saying that that's the reason I have divided the section into two, such that one can such that to confirm you that these are the primary skills which I work on day to day life. But apart from that, I know these technologies. So till this moment, if anyone is having any doubts, just let me know.
Clear, Karthik.
Anyone having any doubts?
No.
No, audience. Anyone?
No.
We move forward then. So this you should try to keep at
Yes.
least one page resume, minimum one
Sure.
page, and don't try to make it 2 page, 3 page. If you are working on 10 projects, just try to add a project. Main thing, see, according to me, there are only 3 or 4 things which are very important. One thing is like he will try to see what are the roles and responsibilities. Your skill set matters. Your project, your current project, like current recent, very recent project on which you are working, that is very important. So this is what the very important things are, apart from like in terms of resume. So in terms of resume, if you are having any questions like from starting onwards, like from this pick to projects to languages to education to skill set, everything you can ask me, or else we'll try to pick some questions in regards to data engineering. Very nice.
Karthik,
So,
currently
like,
I'm working as a data analyst. So now I'm changing my domain to data engineering. So how will I prepare resume for that, Karthik?
So even now the thing is like when you are working as a data analyst and when you want to get into data engineering, there are only 2 options in front of you. You have to showcase that you have worked, you have to gain the knowledge, and you have to showcase that.
Okay, thank you.
Karthik,
Mohan,
hi, Piyush here.
sorry, sir.
Yes.
Sorry, Piyush, 1 minute. Sorry, Piyush, 1 minute.
No
Mohan, like you are telling that currently you're working as a data analyst, but you're planning to move into data engineering job. Well, is that your question?
Yes, Danvir.
Okay, and you are asking that how to tweak or modify your resume accordingly, right?
Yes, Danvir. Yes.
Okay, see, data analyst and data engineering, okay, they are very different job profile actually, because
Yes.
data engineering, your responsibility is like you have to, first of all, you are receiving data from the source stream, you have to clean the data, then you have to move data to the different layers, you're handling huge volume of data, you're applying transformation logics, then you have to cater to different schema, right? Or you have to understand whether your project is in ETL or EL. A lot of other things are there. So in data engineering, you have to be very smart in handling data, because if the data is not of good quality, data analysts cannot do anything. Power BI developer, they cannot do anything. Your
Yes.
artificial
Exactly.
intelligence, that will fail. Machine learning will fail. Recommendation engine will fail. Everything will fail.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So first of all, we have to understand the data engineering and data analysts, although these two are like a very high demand job profile these days, but the skill sets are different. SQL is common, I agree. SQL
Exactly.
is common in both of this. 50-60% weightage is given to SQL. Okay.
Mm-mm.
But if you are asking that I want to switch from data analyst to data engineering, Tanvir, I have worked on the data engineering skill sets. I have been trained. Then you can move. Okay. Now, how to tweak your resume? The resume has to be entirely different, guys. Please make a note of this point. That is what Karthik has mentioned. And the
Exactly.
same thing I have mentioned in the previous session. Your first impression is your resume. I
Okay.
have mentioned this clearly in my previous session when when we are taking interviews, the HR or the recruitment team will give me 10 or 15 resumes, something like that. He will tell me that Tanvir, out of this, pick the resumes, whatever you like or whatever you think is a which suits the job profile, what you're looking for. Okay. Now, have I seen that candidate? Do you think I know how much he knows SQL? He knows SQL. Do you think I know what is his experience? I don't know anything. Who is speaking in front of me? His or her resume, correct?
Mm-mm.
Understood? So
Yes.
try to understand the importance of resume, guys. Now what I will do, I will click on the resume. I'm telling about myself. I hardly spend 30 to 40 seconds because yeah, I have a lot of other tasks. My deadline is there. I have to fill the appraisal. I have the timesheet. I have meeting. I have retrospective meeting. I have a scrum call. I have defect triage meeting. So do you think I will go and I will do research 5 minutes in your resume? Tell me. Do you think? I'm telling the practical things. And that is
Exactly.
why Karthik told like that we have board system these days that will scan the resume, either it will accept or reject. Okay. So we don't have time that we will do research on your resume, boss. I hardly spend 30 seconds. Okay, because when I will click, it will go to that download folder. From there, I have to open it. So in that 30 seconds, if your resume is able to convince me, that's all. I will shortlist you at that moment. So in your resume, you have to be very careful. So what I have told in your previous session, your resume should not be the single resume for all the job profile. If you are applying for, suppose, a company TCS, check first of all their JD. If the HR is calling you, most of the time what happen? No, the HR will call you. They will tell you that, okay, we are scheduling your interview at this time, at this date, at this time. Are you ready? You will tell, yes, I am ready. No, tell them that I am ready, but please share the JD. That is very important. In the JD, see what all things you have meant they have mentioned, and then accordingly modify your resume. This is for everyone. I have mentioned this in the previous session as well. Here you do mistake, guys. You all have a single resume, one or two resume, and that is what you're circulating everywhere for all the job profile. What is possible? Suppose you went for a restaurant and they have only idli vada and dosa. So how they can beat others? You have to keep all the tests, right? So that is why you prepare resume as per the JD. First of all, is this point clear to everyone? Any
Yes,
question
Tanvir.
here?
No,
Okay, this.
No.
So
I'm having a
what's the
question,
question?
Tanvir.
Yeah, please tell me.
Tanvir, actually, so as you said, like, so we need to prepare. We have basically we need a 3 or 4 maybe the resume models, right? So not the
Hmm.
models. Depend upon the JDs. So
Hmm.
anyway, we are uploading into Naukri or LinkedIn. So yeah, we need to
Hmm.
update one resume there, right? So based on that,
No.
they will.
No, it's not like that. See what happens. I will tell you the process, the recruitment process. Already I have mentioned this earlier. I will not go in that in depth. What happens in suppose I'm working in a project ABC. Now we have a new requirement. We started a new project. Now I want 2 data engineers, 1 data analyst, 1 business analyst, right? We will send this information to the recruitment team that we want this what I can say, like, resource. Okay, and we have some job profile. Now recruitment team or some third party agency, they will start scanning your the LinkedIn profile and many other, like LinkedIn, your Naukri.com, or all other platforms, right? When they're calling you, at that time they will ask you that please share your updated resume. Okay, sometimes they're not asking for the updated resume. In that case, what you have to tell, you have to tell them that, okay, the resume which you are referring to is a little bit old resume, or I need to do some modification. Okay, then modify the resume as per the JD. This is very important. Even if they are not asking that updated resume, you tell them. But most of the time you might have observed or realized that the recruiter will ask you, because more than you, we the recruiters, the HR, the product manager, we want to hire someone as soon as possible. Okay, so we also want that a guy should join our project as soon as possible. So you ask them that please give me some time, I will update the resume, and meanwhile please share the JD job description. Is that clear, Ramesh?
Yes, Tanvir, yeah.
I understood your question. You're asking that Tanvir, already my resume is there, no, on Naukri.com. So they will take that resume from there, right?
Yep.
No, but you have to tell them that no, I will modify, because you know what happened. They will take that resume from there. In the JD, they are asking a person who can cook Chinese cuisine, right? But you are you are very expert in chicken biryani. So for sure they will reject you, right? So that's why this is very important. The first step is, we don't know who is Ramesh, I don't know who is Mohan, I don't know who is Naveen. Whom I know your resume, sir. So your resume has to be very straightforward as per the JD. Now, second thing, you all are doing one very common mistake. You know what? You all are concentrating, focusing on the technical aspect as well. Please check in which domain they are looking, which domain they have the project. Is it in life science? Is it in insurance, finance, manufacturing, FMCG, or whatever it may be? And write that yes, I have worked in this. And one day before the interview, just high level, try to go through that in finance, some common terms and terminologies for 30 minutes or 1 hour. Okay, so that also gives weightage. That suppose when I was working for investment bank, like we prefer those participants, those candidates who has already worked in the finance. Because if someone has worked in the finance, he will be knowing that what is IRR, what is FX rate, what is the spot rate, how the currency changes in a particular day, how many times currency changes, what is the commitment percentage, what is the realization amount, right? Otherwise, we have to give training to you. So these all things are very minute but very important. Okay, so accordingly, you have to modify your resume. Any question? Hope it is clear.
Yes, Tanvir, thank you.
Yes, Tanvir,
Okay,
thank
fine.
you.
Okay,
Hope
so
it is-
Piyush,
hope it- hope it is
Piyush,
clear, guys.
Yes, Tanvir.
yeah, so Piyush was asking question to Karthik. Now, Karthik, over to you. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Piyush.
Hey,
Yeah, you can ask.
hi, Karthik. Karthik, I
Hi.
have 10 years of experience in recruitment, and
Okay.
accordingly, my titles are like talent acquisition sourcer or lead recruiter. Now, from last 8 months, I have been learning the big data technologies, and now I'm going through the SQL course from Tanvir. So, what I wanted to understand, like, even though I have prepared my resume with some experience of, let's say, 2 years, so that I can at least get some calls and then crack the interviews. Uh, but how would I handle this? Like, my title is talent acquisition sourcer. So let's say, if I get shortlisted, how would I justify that I am from talent acquisition? The title is talent acquisition sourcer, but I'm working on big data. So
Recently, okay, you can carry on. I will. Yeah.
that's it. So
Okay. So recently, one of my student went into same like what is your role? Same role. Like he was he was HR for 4 years. So same thing. Like what he said is like he said just like same thing. Like he said that like I have been in, like a company hired me for talent acquisition manager. This is what the role is actually. But suddenly I got an opportunity. Like I got a like we got a project. Like I asked my director or someone, but like this is my interest, so I want to get into this. So they asked me to get into that. Like they asked me to work on that project, then I worked. So it is like I worked for 2 years. You can tell like that because the same thing happened, and he got like in background verification also it was like justification. Like the role name was talent acquisition, like role name was HR. But like as he said that he showcased everything in interview, like whatever the knowledge he gained, he have showcased everything. Now we get into the company. It's been like more than 1 month. Like everything went in a smooth manner. Nothing hurdles came in the way. So everything was in a smooth. Just the thing is like he said that I was hired as a this particular role, but like my interest lied in that. Like I thought to get into that. I asked my manager, and like vice versa I asked as my director as well. So he said that if you were interest lies, you can try it. Then like I learned and just I tried. I worked on some particular project, and it's been like 2 years I working as a data engineer. Then you can just mention. And what see now mentioning is one thing, but you when you are mentioning something, you should be in that situation that you should justify that 2 years of experience as well. should not like that. You should not be in a situation that when you are telling that I worked as a big data developer or data engineer for 2 years, and if you are not able to justify with your skills in an interview, then it is not if you are not able to justify, then it will create unknown hurdles for you.
Get it. And one more thing, like as I have 10 years of experience, so what I did, I mentioned my total experience as 6.5 because when I'm from talent acquisition team, so I know if somebody mentioned 10 years of experience, by default we have this kind of expectation that this person would be asking for more money. So I reduced the experience, total experience to 6 years, and then sold 2 years as big data. Is it correct?
Yeah, that is fine. But one thing I will tell you, the pace of questions for even for fresher as well as for a person who is having 10 years of data engineer experience, the pace of asking the questions is same. Now the trend is going on that way only. And one more thing I want to add, like you will be getting like see, it's like you don't restrict that like I'm having like I'm showcasing like I'm declining that experience to 6 years, and I'm showcasing this because they might be thinking that I might expect something more. So it's not like that. Definitely will get some good amount, I can say, because the current industry, like in current industry, what actually is happening, there are very like a very scarcity of data engineers is present. There are no that data engineers what actually like some organization actually requires.
All right. Thank you.
I hope I cleared your answer, or else you are expecting something. That's cool, right?
No, and it was really a good advice. I'll follow the same.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, guys. Anyone?
Yeah, hi,
Anyone having
Karthik.
any doubt? Yeah.
Karthik, hi. So this is Rishabh here. I'm currently working as an ETL engineer, working on Informatica and other stacks related to that. Currently my experience is more than 9 years. So I'm trying
You
to
are
switch
into ETL.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as of now, I'm working on a migration project of switching to Snowflake database, but much of the time has went into preparing.
Actually, your voice is very low. I'm not able to understand it.
Is it good
Not
now?
able to understand.
Is it good now?
Yeah, it's like your voice is seeming to be like you are very far.
Okay, give me a minute. Just give. Let me try.
Okay. Or else you can text over the text, and I'll try to read it, and I'll try to give the answer for that.
No, I'm joining from mobile. Just give me 2 seconds.
Okay. Anyone, guys? Anyone having any doubts? Or else let me just discuss a few things about data engineering, how one should get into data engineering, what are the things to be learned as a part of data engineering, what you should focus as a data engineer, what are the prerequisites that should be focused as a data engineer if you want to get into data engineering. So let me discuss it with like I will try to give a quick glimpse over that, guys. Like if someone want to get into data engineering, first thing I want to tell you guys, see, per fresher, now current industry is expecting at least 2 years of experience if you want to get into data engineering. That is what I understood. Like it's been like many, like I have gone through multiple things. So in that context, I'm telling you, current company and current corporate industry is expecting at least 2 years of experience, whether it is whether you are from or not, live or that. But the thing is like they are expecting at least 2 years of experience. Like if you want to get into data engineering, if you are like if you think that if you have passed out now only, let's consider 2022. If you have passed out in 2022, now it's been 2022 means max to max it is 1 year. Now for 1 year kind of guys, if you want to get into data engineering, what actually is happening? You are getting, I'm not telling that you won't get opportunities, but the probability of opportunities you will get is very less. Now you might get very less opportunities, and that opportunities are also like, I can't tell you that those are like stabilized opportunities, stable company opportunities you might get or you might not get. And the thing is like you have to wait long back. You don't know when, God may know when your next opportunity will come. So that is what actually happening. But if you are having at least 2 years of experience and you are getting into data engineering, then you are having a lot of calls. You are getting a lot of opportunities. So that is what I want to tell you. And apart from that, if you want to get into data engineering, guys, Very first thing is like SQL. SQL plays a vital role. Like I can't tell, I won't tell that SQL is whole big data. Big data means SQL, but SQL is the backbone of big data. That is what I want to tell you. How much you are very good at SQL, that plays a vital role. That will let you know that like more specifically, you will understand the things in a very better manner. Let's consider when you go with Hive. Hive is nothing but almost some 80 to 70 to 80% is SQL only. Some 20 to 30% you will find some difference. Like loading the data is somewhat different because you want to gain some performance. So some loading kind of things are somewhat different. And some things which actually are present in SQL that won't support in Hive. So that is what actually is there. But apart from that, 70 to 80% is mostly SQL only. So you can understand that how important SQL is. And second thing, when you're learning Spark, when you're writing that Spark coding questions, data frame coding questions also, that syntactic sugar of data frame coding is almost 70 to 80% exactly equal to SQL only. So if you understand every terminology, like how joins works, how group by works, how order by works, how actually each and every keyword works, then you will rock in data engineering. I can tell you, you can rock in data engineering. So I personally know that Tanvir sir teaches the every concept in very depth. So you just follow that, and I'm literally saying that if you are how much you are good at data like SQL, that will ultimately make you a very good big data developer or data engineer. I can tell you. And when it comes to prerequisite, guys, first SQL is very important. Second thing, just go with any language, whether it might be Python, Scala, and Java. But I choose Scala. Why over Python? Just the reason is like, see, when you are looking for data engineering and big data developer, actually, what does this big data or data engineering refers to? It is just like a computation power. When you are working on big data, like a huge volume of data, petabytes of data, zettabytes of data, then when you are querying it, when you want something as output, when you are writing some logic on that, your output should come in you should get your output in very minimal time. Computation power, response. This is what actually the big data refers to. So when we are speaking computation power, response, we should get the output in a very minimal time. Performance should be high. So when you are speaking in that context, we should choose Spark. We should choose Scala over Python. What actually Python will do is like, see, actually when you are running when you are writing your Spark code or something, it should, when you will run it, definitely will run that logic or run that program. So when you're running it, what actually Scala will do, it will run its application on Java, JVM, Java virtual machine. It will run. It will make the things to run. So now Python also has to run on JVM only, because Spark will run its application on JVM only. Now, when you are using Python, it will not directly run on JVM. Actually, it doesn't have a capability to run directly on JVM. What it will do, it will create an intermediate layer. You can say it will create an intermediate file. That intermediate file will go, and that will make your application, your job or your program to run. So now it is a 2-step. But when it comes to Scala, it is 1 step, because Scala is directly written in Java, and Spark is also directly written on Scala, and both runs its job on JVM. So when you are writing Scala Spark program, it will directly execute on JVM without having any 2-step procedure. When it comes to Python, it is a 2-step procedure. Then you can literally understand 1 step is better or 2 step is better. So when we are speaking specifically in terms of computation power. So when we are speaking in terms of computation power, I suggest better to go with Scala. And you know, guys, when we are writing some customized way of coding, so sometimes PySpark doesn't have such features. If you want to customize your code in a very, like, sometimes, I'm not saying every time, sometimes, that flexibility you will be getting in Scala. You can write your code in a whatever the customized way you can write. Everywhere, see, guys, every time and everywhere framework doesn't help us. Sometimes we have to write the code sometimes we have to write our code in a very customized way. In that perspective, if I speak, sometimes Python doesn't have that capabilities. So in that context, our Scala Spark will help us in a very better manner. I hope you got it. First thing is like prerequisites, SQL, learn SQL, then learn any programming languages, whether it might be Python or Scala, but try to follow Scala also, learn Python as well. Both try to learn some basic concepts. And after that, just try to learn one HDFS architecture, try to understand HDFS architecture, then try to understand MapReduce. See, MapReduce, no one is using MapReduce these days. No one is using MapReduce, but you have to understand MapReduce, because first, when you when you understand MapReduce and when you understand what are the disadvantages present in MapReduce, because of which Spark has evolved, so then you will understand in a very clean manner why actually what are the disadvantages that is present in MapReduce, because of which Spark has evolved. So that is what you will understand. That's the reason. Try to understand what is MapReduce, how it will work, like what are the, like if you provide some data to the MapReduce, how it will work behind the scenes. You have to understand those things. Then you try to go with one ingestion tool, whether it might be in NiFi, whether it might be Scoop, whatever it might be, but try to go with one ingestion tool. I said SQL, one programming language, HDFS architecture, MapReduce, now ingestion tool, one, like any ingestion tool. Just go with one ingestion tool. And after that, one ingestion tool is done, then you try to go with data warehouses, whether it might be Snowflake. If you want to go with Snowflake. If you want to go with Hive, it's up to you. If you want to go with Teradata, it's up to you. Because some companies use Teradata, some companies use Hive, some companies use Snowflake. So it depends upon you which you are using. It depends upon the company. So it depends upon the project as well. So then data warehouses are done. Once you complete with data warehouse, you have to learn Spark. Now in terms of Spark, you are having two things: Spark batch processing, Spark streaming, Spark real-time streaming kind of things. When you have the Spark which deals with real-time data. So when it comes to batch processing, you have to just learn Spark Core and Spark Advanced. When you want to deal with real-time data, then you have to work on Spark, like Kafka streaming, like Spark, Kafka, and streaming. See, this is what actually you have to learn. And when it comes to India, particularly in India, if you go for 100 companies, let's consider if you are going for 100 companies, guys, no one is expecting you streaming, first of all, because there are very less opportunities when you in terms of streaming. If you are working on Hotstar, like if you are working on Zoom, or if you are working on YouTube, such streaming related companies only, you will get an opportunities. And let's consider, even if you shortlist for Hotstar also, it is not mandatory that you're going to work on that streaming part. There is also batch processing. So no one is expecting streaming kind of part. So batch processing is enough. And when it comes to cloud, guys, hello, yeah. So when it comes to batch processing, guys, what actually is happening? So when it comes to batch processing, they are expecting. When it comes to cloud in India, cloud is not that mandatory, guys. Cloud is not that mandatory. There won't be the scenario that you don't know cloud, and they are rejecting your profiles. There won't be the scenarios. But I can tell you, if you go for 100 companies, in 100 companies, 95 companies will accept you if you don't know cloud even. But there might be some companies, you can consider some 5 companies. They might stretch you that if you know this cloud only, they will pick up. There are some companies, even if you know AWS, they will expect GCP only. They will expect Azure only. So such kind of companies are there. You can't, everyone is helpless with that kind of companies. But in India, it is not mandatory that you should know cloud. But knowing cloud it will definitely add an advantage for you. So this is what actually a quick glimpse about data engineering. Someone want to get into data engineering, what he should learn and what he should actually pick up the things.
Yeah.
Anyone having any doubts?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was now am I audible now?
Yeah, you are audible.
Okay, so I was saying that I'm working as an ETL developer with the 9 years of experience. I'm trying to learn the big data stack. Currently, I'm working on Scala and I have to learn Spark also. So that is still pending. So from where I can practice Scala, I was searching on net to practice some Scala questions. And when Scala is done, Spark is done, how can I practice on Scala Spark on that project so that when I switch to the big data stack, it shouldn't be that I haven't worked anything in, the live experience working in a project is different than what we can learn from on online class or on that sort, on that part. Second question that I have is that 10 years of experience, if I'm switching to big data now, how much of experience should I show and what role should I opt for? Let's say, because
Before direct,
for 10
yeah.
experience, if I showcase 10 years of experience, so that I would select 2 or 3 years in big data, rest of the experience in ETL. So should I be taking a lead role, or should I go for a senior developer role? Or, I mean, on that part, I wanted to understand.
See,
Because
like
first
as
thing when I
yeah,
switch to big data is it would be the more of the survival thing for 1 year at least. Once I get the grasp of it, what I have learned, I have to like sink my mind and practice it. I'm ready with the role actually. I switch to that. Then I can expect myself to be on a lead role or a managerial role. So on that part, I wanted to understand.
yeah. So my answer would be like, see, now it depends upon the project. I will tell you. See, let's consider you get into some company. Suddenly, if they asked you to work on Azure kind of thing, Azure and data engineering. So they say that we are moving, so we have to work on Azure. If they say ask you to learn Azure, so what actually happens? Now, even as a lead developer, you can directly pick as a lead developer and you can able to manage. Why actually I will tell you. So in Azure kind of platform, what actually is the things are like there, this Azure, AWS, this GCP, these are the platforms where actually the things are like you can consider these platforms are low code and no code platforms where you can manage the things, where you can manage the thing. But if you get an opportunity to work under some projects where you have to write raw, like you have to write Spark Scala code, that too very hard coding. See, now I will tell you there are multiple kinds of, like, many people will think that as a data engineer, when we go into industry, like they will think that we'll write everything in SQL kind of terminology. SQL is very important. SQL is very important. If you understand SQL, you will write the logic. But most probably you will be writing coding prospect. I will tell you what actually happens in the, like I have seen, like my personal experience I'm telling you. So here when we are now here when you are when you want to hit if you want some data, what you will do? You will write select star from something and you will try to apply some like SQL logic and you will get the data, right? So if you are writing whole code in a real time, what actually will do? You will write a code. That code will go and will hit your script, and that will get data for you. Now you are not directly getting interacted in terms of SQL kind of terminology. Now the thing is like you are writing the specific coding. So you can consider like kind of API kind of scenario. You can consider. So it depends upon the use case. And as you are saying, you are having 9 years of experience. You can showcase at least 2 years as a data engineer. And if you showcase if you can showcase as a 2 years as a data engineer, then you can, like, depends upon the role and depends upon the project you are working. Like if you're working on coding specific kind of project, then it will take at least 1 year for survival. But if you're working on GCP, AWS or Azure kind of things, then you will rock. Then there is no need of backstepping that, because those platforms are like low code and no code platforms. There you don't need to look after and see after the things, because everything is done by the platform itself. There are very few basic things which you have to understand. What this keyword will do, what this will do, you have to understand. Apart from that, everything is done by that. But it is very, like, when it comes to compared to on-prem kind of thing, it's very easy. Azure kind of things. So it totally depends upon the company which you are going, the role, like what actually you are like for what role you have been selected. Like you have been selected as Azure data engineer, or you have selected as a direct Spark developer specifically, or you have selected as a for on-prem kind of things. Let's consider if you get into the Citibank, Barclays, all those stuff. That's the scenarios are different. So it depends upon the company.
Okay. And is there any platform where I can uh, practice Scala and Spark things?
So very truth. Let's speak truth. So the thing is, there is no such a platform as of now where you can go and learn the things in a end-to-end manner. So every resource which you are found, even in Udemy, you go where anywhere, those are like paid courses only. There is no such free resources where you can find everything in a end-to-end manner. You might find, like, even if you go for official documentation of Spark, or well, if you go for official documentation of Apache Hive, Apache Scoop, everywhere, wherever you go, the things are like they are not mentioned in a very clean and clear manner to understand the things in a very good. So those are not mentioned in that clean manner to understand. So there is no such a specific resource as of now. When if you go to YouTube as well, if you go to other platforms as well, everything is like paid only.
Okay, thank you.
Hello.
So
Karthik,
Yeah.
Karthik, this is Nitin here. I
Yeah.
have some
Yeah.
questions actually. See, according to me, for 2 years experience, cracking the interview is not a big deal. You can get multiple calls from different organizations, which has my personal experience. But the major challenges which you have faced in the organization on the project, basically, how it's work, right? From different data sources, you get the data, right? I just want to ask you, how many number of percentage you basically use the programming language in your project, first of all. Second thing,
That is what. Yeah. You can continue. Yeah.
second thing, the which data injection tool which you use, that is Scoop or Nifi, right? Apart from that, there's only one particular database you extract the data on every day, because there is a historical load. I know it very well. Apart from that, you have to stack the data on daily basis, right? As per the requirement.
Exactly.
Right. And then you move to data to the Hive or Spark. Because according to me, Hive is a data warehouse, right? And Hive work on MapReduce, which is pretty much slower if we talk about the Spark, right?
No. You just complete your question. I will tell you. Hive doesn't
Right.
work on MapReduce. Hive not only it will work on other platforms as well. You just complete your question. I will tell you.
Yeah. According to me, Hive is a like simple use for the simple computation, and Spark is basically used for the high is a good computation, right? So
Exactly.
in your organization, basically, what is a project structure? I just want to understand in a layman language. See, you are using two different data sources, like might be you are getting the data from the URL, Postgres, MySQL, or might be some other sources, right? So you combine all the data through the Scoop or extract it, or one by one you extracted the data from different sources. This is my main question, right? And computation Spark is not a big task, as you told us that batch processing. I already worked on that, and streaming. I just got to know from you streaming and Kafka. It is not much in demand in the market itself, right?
Demand, it's not about demand, but like you are getting lot of like many whatever the like opportunities you will get, that is more of like batch processing kind of things only.
Okay. So in the market itself, there's a demand only for the majorly for the batch processing.
Exactly.
Okay. And after the Spark, where you put your data, matlab you load the data in AWS or somewhere else.
Yeah, I will tell you.
Yeah.
That.
Please.
Okay. Yeah, let me start with very first question. Very first question was like you are saying that what percentage of code or programming language you use as a data engineer. So if I tell you like the truth, if I speak in truth, if I speak truth, like the thing is like whatever we are doing here, we are not doing in terms of my current company. We are writing hard coded. You can consider everything in code terminology only. I don't use any kind of SQL kind of terminology. So I already said you before also when Rishabh was asking the question, I told you that totally depends upon the company and that totally depends upon the use case. Now in our with the company which I'm working, there are some business units where they use these kind of things, like they work on Cloudera. They will try to do everything like they will try to deal their project in terms of SQL kind of terminology. So it depends upon the project. I'm not saying that specific company, this specific company will work on this. So if you go with Azure kind of things, let's consider. You also know that you are saying that you worked as a batch processor. You worked on batch processing, right?
Yeah.
So you also know that when you are working in batch processing as a on-prem, then it is not that hard for you when you go for Azure kind of things, GCP and all those stuff, because you also know that it's like when you are working on on-prem kind of things, here we look after everything. We have to look after the job, whether it is running, whether it is failing, if it fails, we have to look after. If it is running slow, you have to apply optimization things. Everything will revolve around, and this is a cyclic
See,
process which will
Karthik,
go on. Yeah.
Sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt you, but that belongs to only for the Spark itself. I'm not concerned about the Spark. I'm not asking about the computation itself, right? So majorly, I worked on CDH. I do experience 8 years in sales. I transformed my career from non-IT to IT. I worked as an intern for 1 year. And from last 9 months, I'm working as a data engineer. So according to me, for the computation point of view, it's good enough. I handle all the things. But for the, if we talk about the Scala, right? So extracting data from the might be DB or URL. So do you use
So
these kinds of things?
just no, just let me complete. You are like you are interrupting. Just let
Oh,
me
sorry,
complete.
sorry.
So
Go
what
ahead,
I'm telling is like just as I'm going through your questions one by one. Like you have mentioned very first point, right? So first point I explained. Second point you
Karthik,
said that what are the multiple? Yeah. Hello.
Karthik, sorry, Karthik and Nitin, like, can you connect offline, guys? Okay, this is a very healthy discussion, but I will recommend if
no
you connect
problem,
offline.
Tanvir sir. No
Okay.
problem.
Just a quick question from my side for Nitin's question. I work as a BI developer. My job profile is completely data engineer. Just my profile is different. I use in our organization we use no code policy. We don't use code at all. We use ETL tools.
Okay, cool.
And for the data, obviously for extracting data and all, we put in our queries in SQL. But on ETL side and transformation size, we use ETL tool. So it, as Karthik has said, it totally depends upon the organization and the scope of project and how are, how much are they willing to invest in the project and all. You'll see very small companies are invested heavily on cloud technologies. But you'll see also, I work in the organization, we are almost like 150 or 160 people in the organization. And we have a data of, we get records in millions. The data comes in millions every day for us. But we don't use any programming languages such as PySpark or Python or Spark, Scala, nothing. We use nothing, but we just use the ETL tools for the transformation. So I'll just cover in short. It depends upon your project.
Exactly. That is what actually I was saying
Okay.
from
So
Rishabh also. Yeah.
one last thing. I okay, that was a good and healthy discussion. Just last thing, like Ritesh is asking that Tanvir has, I'm in mechanical engineering. So net the story is he is in non-IT field and he want to do a transition in the IT sector. Ritesh, you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is what you're asking, right?
Yeah, I am working as a mechanical maintenance. All that details I had shared in chat.
Okay,
And
see.
currently I'm taking your SQL batch of February.
Yeah, I know that. So see, guys, this is a very common question many of you have, and I have mentioned this earlier as well, but still I'm repeating. Those who all are from non-technical background, listen very carefully what I'm telling. I have already told you the politics of recruitment, what it happens and all those things. I know many recruiters are there in this group and in this session as well, but I'm very sorry. I have to tell this because many times the candidates, they think that in the JD 10 skills are there and I don't know 10 skills. So should I apply or not? So guys, this doesn't happen. Even if you're strong in 4 or 5 skills, we will hire you. A lot of misconceptions are there. First thing, if you're in non-IT background, please forget it. Please don't remind it again that I am from non-IT background. Forget it. You work first of all on the skill sets. Suppose, and they're telling this for everyone. This is not for Ritesh Patel. This is for everyone. Listen very carefully. First of all, plan that which job profile of IT industry you have to go. And again, I will tell you not to be too ambitious. Like if you're not as strong in the coding part, you see, everyone they have their own strong area, right? If Sachin Tendulkar will start painting, what will happen, right? And if MF Hussain will start playing cricket, what will happen, right? So you can imagine that. So everyone is good in their area. Okay. Now, if you're not strong in coding part, please don't go for data engineering. Maybe you will be strong in any other area. Okay. If you're not strong in coding part, don't go for data engineering. Okay. First thing, if you're planning to come from non-IT background to IT field, the path is, from my understanding, the best part is, first of all, go for business analyst, then go for data analyst. Then if you are really interested that no, I want to go for data engineering job profile, then go for data engineering. Again, one thing I will tell you, it is not like in data analyst, if you're getting suppose 15 LPA, 20 LPA, 25 LPA, it is not like that. If you go for data engineering, you will get more than that. No, there's no such calculation. It all depends on your skill sets. I have seen 4 years experience ETL tester. He is earning 24, 25 LPA. ETL tester, which you guys think that it is not that much in demand. It depends on how smart you are. So first of all, step one is pick the job profile where you want to go. And here you have to be very smart. Okay, step one is clear. Step two, find out the skill sets on which you have to work. If you are planning for business analysts, you have to work on SQL, Python, SQL, Power BI, and the basics of Excel. Similarly, for data analysts and data engineering, they all have their skill sets. In all these skill sets, 50-60% weightage is given to SQL. You all know that. I'm not going to repeat all those things. Now the next thing is, Tanvir, okay, fine, step one is clear. Step two, I understood that I have to work on this skill sets. I have worked on it. Now I am ready to apply for the interview and resume. Okay. In that, what you have to do, same thing. In your resume, you have to tell that, yes, I was working in the mechanical field. I was working in the civil. I was in the pharmaceutical company. Okay. But tell me one thing. This question is for everyone. Tell me any particular business area where they don't deal with data. Who will answer this? Do you have any business area where they don't deal with the data? Any field do you know, guys? Do you have any such field?
No.
There is no such area, guys. Even you see your local departmental store, they have their small laptop these days. In that they're maintaining data. That is another thing. They're not processing it. They're not cleaning it. They're not forecasting it. That is a different thing. But each and every field, they are playing with data. So if you are in mechanical field, you are appearing for interview. You have 5 years of experience. I think Nishta is not there today. She is in civil, and her knowledge on SQL is really appreciable. I have told this multiple times. Okay. Now, what I suggested her that, okay, you are in the civil. Tell to the interviewer that, yes, I was in the civil department, but what I was doing there? I was analyzing their data. I was checking that how many sites they have, how many buildings they have constructed, how many floors they have, or how many floors they have given for lease. In the next 5 years, how many lease will be over, how much rent we have earned, what is the profit, what is the free rent period, and all those things you are doing. So the interviewer will think, okay, fine, she is working in the civil, but she is playing with data. This is what I want. Okay. If you're working in mechanical field, that is fine. You tell them, but you tell that, okay, I was in mechanical, but I was handling the database. Okay. Like I forgot who was, I think Risha was, who was, sorry, I forgot. He told that I am working as a recruiter for the 10 years. Okay, fine. You're working as a recruiter. You tell them that I was working with the HR database, the internal project of my company. I was playing with the data. I was handling the database. I was calculating how many female employees are there, how many male employees are there, how the salary is distributed, what is the mean salary, what is the mode salary, where the salary has to be incremented, what is the or how much appraisal we have to give in each and every department, what is the percentage increase, and all those things. So this is how you have to project. It is not necessary that all the projects of the world is running on IT only. Okay, but IT is present in all the jobs, or in all the sectors, whether it is any sector. Hope it is clear. Have I answered your question, Ritesh? Ritesh and everyone, do you have any question here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so please forget that I am from non-IT background. How I will answer, go with that confidence that no, I have worked on it. And that is why in my class when I'm teaching you SQL, if you remember what all topics I'm teaching you, I'm giving the flavor of project. That okay, this scenario in the project there, this will happen, then you have to answer this. That flavor you have to add, sir, because just if you're telling, interview will not be convinced. So when you're answering the question, you have to add the flavor of project. That okay, in the project I was doing this, and this was the number, then I have handled null in this way, I have used NVL, so minus I have used, so it was not able to capture duplicate, then I have used not in, I was using not in, then it failed to capture null, then I have used minus, here I have used the combination of that and all those things, right? So this is how you have to prove. And then what will happen, the HR, they will not be able to play with your salary, because the moment you will tell that, okay, I have 5 years of experience, but in the mechanical field, even if you have a very good understanding of SQL, they will start playing with your salary. This will happen. Okay, so any last question, guys?
Hello. Yes, Tanvira, I had a question. Like right now I'm on a traffic, so sorry for the disturbance. But right now I'm having 2 years of experience. I'm working in ETL operation, neither in data analysis part nor in data engineering part. So right now I'm working in ETL operation while doing data extraction to data processing using GCP. So I just had a question, like I just want to appear for data engineering role, like as a data engineer. So how can I present my 2 years of experience while working in ETL operation for data engineering part?
Okay, so you are already in ETL. So what's the problem you have? You can tell that, because in ETL you're working in the operation. So what exactly you are doing there? Can you tell me your roles and responsibilities?
So here we had a software called Spine, from which we are getting the batches of data. And we just implement the views in that particular Spine application, and by which we got the data in the form of batches, and those batches we process on with the help of GCP. So I just need to go towards more in data migration projects and all.
Okay, I got it. So you are working at a very high level. Okay, you are not in that in depth of the pipeline, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So just do one thing. You're almost on track. Just do one thing. In that process, whatever you're doing, connect with any developer, okay, or those who has created the pipelines, because you have the batches and all those things you are doing. Now try to understand that within the batches how they have coded it. That's all. It will take hardly 1 or 2 weeks. Try to understand the logic what they have implemented there. Okay. And once you will understand that, the same thing you have to replicate in the interview, that yes, I have created this pipelines. And then at the same time, you have to understand the challenges of the pipelines as well. Okay, those things I used to cover in my ETL classes. You can go on mute, okay? So those things I used to cover in the ETL classes, that okay, while creating the pipelines, if you have duplicate data, how to handle, because this kind of questions will be asked in an interview. That suppose, okay, you're working in the you have created pipelines. Suppose on a particular day, if you have received multiple files, then how your code will behave, right? So those who have attended ETL class, you know, we have discussed that the job should fail. If the job has not failed, then what should happen? So this kind of things you should know, but you are almost on track. They will, because you have working in the ETL, there's other thing that you're working in the operations, more or less like a support team you are working, if I'm not wrong, okay? So just understand the pipelines and understand that ETL architecture and the different terms and terminologies. Okay, or maybe you can connect on my personal window. I can guide you what all things you should learn. Okay.
Sure, Tanvir, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
No problem. So fine then, guys. Stop here, and thanks a lot, Karthik. I know your time is too precious, and thanks a lot. And I hope everyone, we have learned a lot of things from you. Okay, and that's why I invited Karthik, because he's a good player in the big data, and in very short span of time. So I will tell you, like in a very short span of time, really, and he has learned a lot of things. And apart from that, he is involved in many other activities, which is really motivating for me. Earlier, I used to think that, okay, I'm doing a lot of things simultaneously. But really, and many times he motivates me that Tanvir, you should do this, you should do that. He guides me. So thanks a lot, Karthik, for your time. Okay.
Thank you,
So-
Tanvir sir and Karthik. Thanks a lot, bro.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Naveen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Tanvir. Thanks, Karthik. Yeah.
Thank
Thank you,
Thank you,
Karthik.
guys.
Thank you,
you.
Tanvir.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Thank-
We'll connect next week.
Thank you.
You can suggest the topic or whatever you want us to connect next week. We'll connect on that. Okay. And the
Sure.
recording will be shared by tomorrow EOD. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Tanvir.
Thank you.
Tanvir, I've pinged you. Can you reply, please?